Hey everybody, Jeff Bartle here, and I just got home after program, and you never bet. Guess where we've been. So let's see. Today today is April 26th, which also means Avengers Endgame came out, and the program took us there to see the movie. Well, half the group anyway. It's funny. I thought I wouldn't be able to handle the sound, but it's funny. I thought I was gonna leave halfway through, but apparently I was able to handle it. I think movie theaters have evolved so much that I'm evolved enough that I could probably handle the sound now. I could probably tolerate everyone's hearing. Anyway, let me get. That's what I'm. My re this in this video, I'm going to discuss my thoughts about Avengers Endgame. So just a warning, there'll be spoilers ahead. So I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to 10 seconds to get off. If you haven't seen the movie already, I'll give you 10 seconds to get off this video and go to another video. Okay. Alright, for those who've stayed, I'm expecting that all of you have seen the movie already. Let's begin. Now if we go back, it doesn't. Now in the situation we got through now, Thanos wiped out half the universe. But here's the thing: I don't think he ever thought things all the way through, or alternative methods. Anyway, because I don't think he ever thought about how society was going to react, handle, etc. The situation with 50% of all intelligent life in the universe being gone, especially on their own planet Earth. Think about it, love. Think about it. How would you react if your friends, your loved ones, family, and anyone else, especially just disappeared in the snap of a finger. Sorry, I'm having trouble snapping my fingers because I got band-aids on. But anyway, a few minutes in. But anyway, so I don't know how many minutes have gone by. A few minutes in, and they immediately traveled to get Thanos and get. There was no fin. They did find the gauntlet, but no stones. That's because they told Thanos destroyed him. And after a talk or something, after having a little chat, Thor kills Thanos. Whoosh! The same, and this time he went for the head, like Thanos told him to. I felt a little disappointed at that point. Because barely a few minutes into the movie, personally, I think that was a little disappointing, like I said before. That was my belief, anyway. But as the movie continued on, I later find out that Tony Stark has a daughter. When I saw that, I was like, WTF? Since when did Tony Stark get married? Have a daughter by birth. I was shocked. Were you shocked? And sometime later in the movie, after all this happened, I think it was fun. I think it was let me see how long it's been since they. I can't remember how long it's been since they did it, since a time gap. 5 year. 5 years later, Scott Scott Lang finally escapes the quantum realm. Here. And finds Romanoff and Rogers at the Avengers Con. And, hang on. After a trip, he escapes on a rat trip to Switch to release him in the van, which is inside of a storage facility with the rest of his stuff. He then finds out about the decimation. After visiting a park containing large stones engraved with the names of those who perished in the decimation, he visited his daughter Cassie. Upon realizing that Hope Van Dyke, Hank Pym, and Janet Van Dyke were snapped out of his existence. Now, personally, snapped out of existence. I just wish they just snapped into the afterlife. That would have been a better option than just them. No soul, no. I could be wrong about this. No soul, no soul, no nothing, no way to, you're just gone. I get. And when he traveled to the Avengers headquarters, he announced during Natasha Romanoff and Roger the quantum realm might be the key to bringing half the universe back. So the trio with limited knowledge about the quantum realm travels to Stark's home to consult him. Now, as you can see, Stark argues that time travel is not like in movies and television shows, and that it could kill them if it was even possible. Rogers, Romanoff, and Lang then leave, though Tony uses Friday to check whether or not it would be possible to which he realizes it is by use of a Mobius strip design. Man, there are funny parts in this movie. When we see Bruce Banner at a restaurant, since the decimation, Banner has used the gamma radiation to morph his body to be the size and appearance of Hulk, while retaining the intelligence and control of Banner. I gotta tell you, that was hilarious. But he's not like the Hulk smash. It's kind of disappointing, personally. Anyway, with his knowledge of quantum physics, he doubts that it can be done, but agrees to help them experiment with the idea. And get this, while in the quantum realm, it's been 5 years, but I think he said he's been in there for five hours. If that's the case, then could it work like this? 1 hour in there equals 1 year out there. Oh, and this is another funny part. When Banner and Rocket go to Tonsberg, Norway to recruit Thor. This is they only discover that Thor has become somewhat of an alcoholic and has reduced his life to playing video games with Korg and Meek. He really let himself go. Anyway, Rocket does convince convince Thor to help them. Another another funny test is another funny test has been when Banner was able, another funny scene was when Banner was able to successfully send Lane back in time, but then has problems returning him to present time under the correct age. And this should return him as a kid, then an old man, then a baby. At least that's what I think the correct order is. And then the next part is he said IP might be in. Anyway. But I gotta tell you, when Thor really let himself go, I gotta say, when and how did that happen? But as the movie goes on, I kind of realized the movie isn't about getting the Infinity Stones from Thanos to undo the damn that he did, like in the beginning. It's about traveling to the past to get the stones to undo what Thanos did to half the universe, which I felt was a little disappointing. But then as the movie went on, it kind of made up for that. And as the movie went on, they're trying to get the stones without having to encounter their past selves or anyone else. But that movie proves that not everything goes according to plan. That's, for example, ow. They had the Tetrax, but unfortunately, younger Loki, because of Hulk going to the coming out of the stairs, actually because he had to take the stairs. Loki got the Tesseract and escaped. Who knows what will happen to him? And Captain America runs into his Captain America. So it was a Captain America versus Captain America fight. Another example is I think when Thor runs into his mother. Oh, not the boy, but he does run into her. Another example is, what's that girl's name? Natasha. Nebula. Who knew that the little thing on their head made it so we can see they were synced. They were basically kind of synced in a way. Let me see if I can explain that. But here's the weird thing. I thought she died in Infinity War. I guess I was wrong. Oh wait. Sorry, I was thinking about Gamora. Sorry, it was Gamora that died. Sorry. I got it mixed up. But anyway, excuse me a second. Sorry, I had to turn off a sound machine. Sorry, I had to turn off something. Anyway, it's like they're, connect. It's like they were connected or something. So it seems like her cybernetic implants cause her past and future self to share share the same thoughts. So Thanos was able to, get get access to what the mission was in the future. And she eventually, does that. And she eventually gets the, what's the word? Ah. After learning what he made some future nebula was left behind when her cybernetic implants overloaded when her mind connected to her past self. So Thanos used this connection to access future Nebula's memories and thereby learn of his future fate and the Avengers' plan. So she tries to warn him, but it was too late. He captures future Nebula and sends past Nebula forward to the present as a spy. They never. But when they get back to the present, everything seems. But it's not. But it wasn't all as For the Soul Stone, like Red Skull said, you must get a soul. It must be a soul for a soul. And the Black Widow and Hawkeye fought to be that soul. With eventually of someone losing their life in the end. Natalia Romanoff, the Black Widow. I believe she's dead. She gave her life so they could get the Soul Stone. This movie also proves that she's never messed with the space-time continuum. Because this all could have been avoided. Because what will happen next all could have been avoided if Nebula just gone back to the past, gone back to the future with everyone else. Because Thanos didn't know where the others were. But anyway, back in the present, Banner and Thor construct a new Infinity Gauntlet, which Banner uses to but it's not, they decide eventually to be Banner, because it does all six take a toll on the user. So Banner uses it to restore everyone that Thanos disintegrated. However, meanwhile, past Nebula uses the time machine to transport Thanos and his ship to the present day. And Thanos obliterates the Avengers headquarters, aiming to retrieve the stones to destroy it was bad enough that he wanted to wipe out half the universe. But now this time he wants to destroy the universe and create a new one in his image. He never thinks things all the way through, I don't think. Even if that's the case, he never realized the cycle for a resource could start all over again. And what then? Would he have to do it again and again and again and again? Restart the cycle all over again? He just never thinks it all the way through. There were some. They thought Thanos in his arm. The Avengers thought Thanos in his army. And there's some scenes that shocked me, like this one. Captain America grabs Thor's hammer and was able to wield it. And when I saw that, I was like, OMG, since when can Captain America wield Thor's hammer? they were, even though they were fighting the good fight, Thanos and his army overpowered the Avengers until Stephen Strange arrives with reinforcements, which included the resurrected Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, his fellow sorcerers, and the armies of Asgard, Wakanda, and the Ravengers. Now that's a fight we're seeing. Now that's a fight we're seeing. The army of Thanos versus the Avengers army, or the army of the Avengers. And just before the battle started, Captain America said it. Avengers, assemble. Meanwhile, future Nebula convinces her past version of her sister Gamora to betray Thanos and kill past Nebula. Thanos retreats, but I'm still unclear what happens to her. Yet. The fight over the gauntlet is intense. Thanos retrieves the gauntlet, but just when he thought all hope was lost, Thanos retrieves the gauntlet and says, I am inevitable. Thanos snaps his fingers, but nothing happens. He discovers that the gauntlet no longer has the Infinity Stones, and as Stark used his armor nanotechnology to transfer the stones to his arm. And then Tony says, and I am Iron Man. Stark snaps his fingers, and Thanos' army slowly fades into dust, and very soon Thanos too. Now what can... But you know, out of all this, Thanos never really got the grasp on the whole situation or something like that. Why kill half the universe? Why kill half the universe out of existence? He doesn't realize that he could have done something different, just at random. He could have done something different, like erase all evil from the universe, erase all the people who are evil from the universe. You know, like that. That could have been 1,000 years of peace, at least until more evil came up. Or erase those who wouldn't be missed at all. Who would never be missed at all. But there's definitely one thing that could have been done differently. Why didn't Thanos could have just snap his fingers, and then the universe gets double, triple, or even infinite resources, and just having a senseless murder? Why do you resort to murder instead of double the make more of what's dwindling? But for planet Earth, there's some things that's better off disappear than just brought back, like oil. We need to switch to alternative fuel before before all the ice melts in Antarctica and the Earth goes into which all the ice melts in Antarctica, which results in it being habitable, but also in mass extinction. Our kind. I'm not joking when I say this. Go green and save the Earth, or we're all gonna die. A slow and painful death. But anyway, back to what I was saying. And with that, what the fans wanted came true. Tony Stark kills Thanos and his army. Unfortunately, it came at the cost of his own life. Sorry. Robert Downey Jr. from Iron Man, which was released in 2018, to Avengers Endgame, 2019. That was probably that was 11. That's 11 years. That's 11 long years. He's been in the been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Robert Downey Jr. will be missed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I only wish that Stan Lee was still alive to see this movie. Sorry. And there was a funeral, and I know there was a funeral for, and there was, and even though I failed to keep track of how many people attended, at least I'm glad that everyone attended Tony Stark's funeral. I'm feeling relieved. But following the funeral, the Avengers disbanded. Okay, now I'm feeling sad again. I hope that not permanently. And here was, so Thor appoints Valkyrie as the new queen, is the queen of the new Asgard, and joins the Guardians of the Galaxy, while Roger returns the Infinity Stones and Moral into their original places in time. However, he chooses to remain in the past and reunite with Peggy Carter. And I thought Natasha and Roger were gonna have it off or something. So first Robert Downey Jr. First Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, and now Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, are leaving the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I believe the reason is that after the final fight with Thanos is over, Captain America travels back in time to return the Infinity Stones to the spots where the Avengers stole them from, which I already explained before. For example, he returns the time stone to the Sanctorium 2012. However, he decides to stay back in time and live out a quiet life with Peggy. This presumably means that there are two. I just realized that this presumably means that there are two Steve Rogers in this universe. The one who was frozen in the lake that wakes up and fights with the Avengers, and the time traveling one who assumes a secret identity and spends his life with Peggy. It also means that this also means that Steve Rogers was married to Peggy all along in a time loop. Although the time travel loops confusingly don't exist in the rest of the movie. Do you remember this? Do you remember this? That in Captain America: Civil War, Peggy mentions mentions a husband, but never by name. So now we probably know that the husband is Steve Rogers. So in the end, Captain America grows into an old man by 2023. And hands his mantle to Sam. By that time, I'm hoping we got a new person. I hope we do. Which for me kind of was a little disappointing. I was expecting the new Captain America was going to be Bucky Barnes, since after all, it's Bucky. Because after all, was his psych was originally introduced as a psychic. Was originally the sidekick to Captain America. I thought he would have been the choice for, you know. Anyway, let's get back to what I was doing. Now, here's one thing I want to know. So as we know, although there are no traditional mid or post-credit scene, a distinct clinging sound can be heard from after the credits have rolled to when the Marvel Studios logo shows, alluding to Tony Stark building his first Iron Man armor in the 2018 film Iron Man, paying tribute to the fallen characters. Well, at least they did. At least they did that. But even though I never saw that. At least they did that. That was nice of them. So, with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans no longer going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, does that mean the media franchise / shared universe is over? Personally, I hope not. All right, and I believe, but there are some questions that were not answered for me in Avengers Endgame. So here they are. What becomes of both U.S. Secretary of State Thaddeus E. Thunderbolt Ross and the Sokovian Accords? I was hoping in that movie they would be torn up and Ross being one of those who survived getting fired or something. I don't know. If you got a theory, just share it with me. But overall, I think that was a good. But let's talk about the characters, you know. And I'm gonna have this program explain it since it's like I probably know it. If I try talking, I probably have a sore throat. So let's get down to it. All right. So
here's who lives, dies and comes back to life in Avengers Endgame. By Eliana Doctorman. 12:05 a.m. EDT. Warning, this post contains spoilers for Avengers Endgame. When Thanos.
So that's your warning right there, okay? I'll give you 5 seconds to quit out. Actually, I'll make it 10. All right, I'm gonna play the audio and have as a visual. It won't be me, but it'll be something just as good, I believe. My dog Digger. Say hi, Digger. Okay, come on. Sorry. Lay back down. Hang on. I can make that a better way. I'll forget it. I'll try. I'll think of something else. This is tough. Okay, let's just get back to it. I just wasted a lot of time doing that.
When Thanos gathered the Infinity Stones so he could snap his fingers and destroy half of all life in the universe in Avengers Infinity War, many superheroes disappeared. Despite the initial shock, few fans thought they were actually gone for good. After all, characters like Black Panther and Spider-Man had to return for scheduled solo sequels and the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And indeed, when Avengers Endgame jumps forward 5 years after the events of Infinity War, the Avengers have to come up with a way to bring their friends back to life. They figure out how to travel back through time and collect the Infinity Stones for themselves. Hulk uses them to bring back everyone who disappeared half a decade prior, just as Thanos jumps forward in time himself and attacks Avengers headquarters. Luckily, all of their dusted compatriots have returned and the group defeats Thanos and his minions. Their heroics, which are complicated by the mechanics of time travel, mess with the already confusing Marvel timeline, as the Avengers change the past, new, parallel universes branch off, creating new spin-off possibilities for once dead characters. And, of course, their mission involves some sacrifice, real sacrifice. Several of the original Avengers die in their mission to bring back their disappeared fellow heroes. Here's everyone who is dead, like, really dead, alive, and resurrected at the end of Avengers Endgame. Here's who died for real this time in Avengers Endgame. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., sacrificed himself in order to save the universe at the end of Avengers Endgame. He uses all the Infinity Stones to wish Thanos, Josh Brolin, and his army out of existence, but exerts so much strength that he dies in the process. The movie ends with Tony Stark's funeral, and Captain America, Chris Evans, returns all the Infinity Stones to the places in the timeline where the Avengers stole them from. Nobody will be using the stones to bring Tony back. When Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, and Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner, go to Vormir, they learn from Red Skull that they will have to sacrifice something they love in order to attain the Soul Stone. After an extended fight over which one of them will make the big sacrifice, Black Widow jumps to her death. When Hawkeye returns to Earth, Thor, Chris Hemsworth, suggests they use the Time Stone to bring her back. However, Red Skull told Hawkeye that Black Widow's death is permanent. Later, the Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, says that he tried to wish Black Widow back into existence when he held the Infinity Stones, but that it wasn't possible because, as Red Skull confirmed, the magic of the Soul Stone requires a permanent sacrifice. So yes, it seems like she's gone for good, even though Black Widow is finally getting her own spin-off movie. Presumably it will be a prequel. 2014 Nebula, when Nebula, Karen Gillan, and War Machine, Don Cheadle, travel from 2023 to 2014 to retrieve the Power Stone, 2023 Nebula accidentally sends a message to her 2014 self revealing their mission. Thanos, Josh Brolin, sees this transmission and enlists 2014 Nebula to kidnap 2023 Nebula and replace her. 2014 Nebula then travels back to 2023, masquerading as 2023 Nebula, and pulls Thanos and his army forward in time to attack the Avengers. During the battle with Thanos, 2023 Nebula confronts 2014 Nebula and shoots her. 2014 Nebula dies, but 2023 Nebula survives. More on that later. Here's who remained dead in Avengers Endgame. Vision. It seems like the actual deaths, not dustings, that occurred in Avengers Infinity War are permanent. Thanos crushed Vision's Paul Bettany skull in order to gain the Mind Stone in that movie, and Vision did not return to Avengers Endgame. Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen, suggests that Vision is permanently dead at the end of the film when she and Hawkeye reminisce over the loss of Vision and Black Widow. respectively. In theory, someone could build a new Vision using the Mind Stone and Jarvis. That's complicated by the fact that Captain America returned the Mind Stone to its original timeline, and Tony Stark, who is now dead, is probably the only person who could understand how to recreate Vision's mind. 2018 Gamera, this death, one of the most emotionally resonant from Avengers, Infinity War, turns out to be a bit more complicated. As a refresher, Thanos sacrificed Gamera, Zoe Saldana, during that movie in order to attain the Soul Stone. And that version of Gamera, from 2018, remains dead in this film. However, Thanos travels from 2014 to the future 2023, to be exact, with Gamera to stop the Avengers from executing their plan. The 2014 Gamera helps to stop Thanos and his minions. It's unclear, however, if she survives the encounter. At the end of that battle, Tony Stark wishes all of Thanos' allies away. Considering that Gamera was fighting on the side of the Avengers, that means that she is probably still alive. She is nowhere to be seen after the battle, but Star-Lord, Chris Pratt, begins to search for her once he returns to his ship. Presumably the events of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will center on the Guardians' hunt for this old Gamera and Star-Lord starting up a romance with her, again. 2018 Loki, in the opening scenes of Avengers, Infinity War, Thanos killed Loki, Tom Hiddleston, promising no resurrections this time. The trickster god has a tendency to die only to reveal later he faked his death. Loki fans shouldn't fret though. When the Avengers travel back to the Battle of New York in 2012, they encounter a 2012 version of Loki. In that timeline, Loki steals the Tesseract and escapes with it. According to an April announcement, we know now that Tom Hiddleston will reprise his role on an upcoming Disney & show about Loki. The series will likely follow this 2012 version of the character after he escapes the Avengers. Heimdall, Thanos and his children murder Thor's friend Heimdall, Idris Elba, when they invade Thor's ship. Like other characters who were murdered by Thanos, he does not reappear when Hulk uses the Infinity Stones to bring back those who disappeared. The Ancient One, Tilda Swinton, died during Doctor Strange. Though Hulk talked to her when he traveled back to 2012 to retrieve the Time Stone, she did not travel back with him, nor did she come back to life at the end of the film. Peggy Carter, Haley Atwell, died in Captain America, Civil War before Thanos ever snapped his fingers in Infinity War. She remained dead at the end of Endgame, though Steve Rogers traveled back in time to rekindle their romance and grow old with her. Here's who came back to life in Avengers Endgame. Black Panther / T'Challa, Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, makes a regal reappearance right when Captain America looks like he's about to face Thanos alone. Last we saw T'Challa, he was looking over Wakanda with Shuri Letitia Wright, and his mother, Raymunda, Angela Bassett. Spider-Man / Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Tom Holland, swoops in to help keep the Infinity Stones away from Thanos. He tells Tony Stark that he woke up on the planet where he disappeared, and that Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, helped bring them back to Earth. Later, after Tony Stark's funeral, we see Peter return to school and wave to his friend Ned. Ned seems not to have aged 5 years, which probably means he also disappeared. But half their schoolmates would have stayed on Earth, grown up and graduated. Doctor Strange / Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange uses his ability to create holes in the space-time continuum to bring all the Marvel characters who once disappeared back in the fight against Thanos after Thanos jumps forward in time to attack the Avengers. We last see Doctor Strange at Tony Stark's funeral. Winter Soldier / Bucky Barnes and Falcon / Sam Wilson, Captain America hears Falcon, Anthony Mackie, call on your left over his earpiece before all the disappeared Avengers return to help in the fight against Thanos. After the fight, Bucky, Sebastian Stan, and Sam watch as Steve Rogers travels back in time to return the Infinity Stones to previous moments in time. They then spot an old Steve on a bench. He decided to stay in the past and live out his life with Peggy. Steve hands his shield and Captain America duties to Sam, as Bucky looks on. Sam and Bucky will reportedly star together in a Disney and TV series. Scarlet Witch/Wanda Maximoff. Scarlet Witch takes out her anger on Thanos for killing her boyfriend, Vision, after she returns. She and Hawkeye later reminisce about Black Widow and Vision during Tony's funeral. Scarlet Witch is set to star in her own television series with Vision on Disney+. Presumably it will be a prequel. Guardians of the Galaxy. Rocket, Bradley Cooper, was the only Guardian left after Thanos' snap. All the other Guardians, Star-Lord, Chris Pratt, Groot, Vin Diesel, Drax, Dave Bautista, and Mantis, Pomkelmentiev, return for the final battle against Thanos. Star-Lord tries to embrace the 2014 Gamora who has traveled into the future, but she knees him in the crotch. Remember, this version of Gamora has never met Star-Lord before. Toward the end of the movie all the Guardians board their ship, as does Thor, and Star-Lord tries to search the galaxy for Gamora, who may or may not have survived Tony's snap. Nick Fury and Maria Hill, SHIELD agent Maria Hill, Kobe Smulders, shows up for the battle against Thanos, and Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, appears later at Tony Stark's funeral. Hope Pym, Hank Pym, and Janet Van Dyne. Hope Pym, aka the Wasp, Evangeline Lilly, returns for the final battle to fight alongside Ant-Man, Paul Rudd. We see her parents, Janet, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Hank, Michael Douglas, return to life at Tony Stark's funeral. Shuri, Letitia Wright, returns alongside Black Panther and is flanked by the Wakandan army for the final battle. Here's who survived the events of Avengers Endgame. Captain America/Steve Rogers. After the final fight with Thanos is over, Captain America travels back in time to return the Infinity Stones to the spots where the Avengers stole them from. E.g., he returns the Time Stone to the Sanctum Sanctorum in 2012. He decides to stay back in time and live out a quiet life with Peggy. This presumably means that there are two Steve Rogers in this universe, the one who was frozen in the lake, woke up and fights with the Avengers, and the time-traveling one who assumes a secret identity and spends his life with Peggy. It also means that Steve Rogers was married to Peggy all along in a time travel loop, though time travel loops confusingly don't exist in the rest of the movie. She mentions a husband in Captain America, Civil War, but never by name. Captain America grows into an old man by 2023 and hands his mantle to Sam. Thor decides he no longer...
Let me stop right there for a second. Let me explain something. That's where I got if you're wondering, that's where I got my information. Yes. Alright. That's when... Because I have trouble describing things, and also, for right now. Because of my... Anyway, let's back to this. Thor decides he no longer wants to rule the Asgardians and passes his former duties to Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson. Presumably, Valkyrie will take Thor's place in any future superhero team-up movies. Thor then boards the Guardians of the Galaxy's ship and prepares to take off with them. We can probably expect to see Thor in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Hulk/Bruce Banner. During Endgame, Bruce revealed that he has finally reconciled his two halves, the scientist and the big, green superhero, to create a medium-sized, smart Hulk. It's unclear if Bruce can or would return to his human form, but we see him at Tony Stark's funeral, arm in a sling after suffering an injury from using the Infinity Stones, still in his half-Hulk half-human form. Ruffalo still has 2 movies left on his Marvel contract. The actor has said he won't be making a Hulk solo movie, but he could show up in some of Marvel's unannounced projects. War Machine/James Rhodes. We get our last shot of War Machine, Don Cheadle, at Tony's funeral.
It's unclear whether Rhodes would return in the movies as War Machine or even take on the name Iron Man himself. Rocket, the only one of the Guardians who lived through the snap, is reunited with his compatriots on their ship at the end of the movie. 2023 Nebula, Karen Gillan, kills the 2014 version of herself. This has no effect on her 2023 self. Tony Stark explains earlier in the movie that changing actions in the past doesn't have a butterfly effect in the present but rather creates a new, totally separate timeline. When 2014 Nebula jumped forward in time, she created a new parallel timeline. So 2023 Nebula is killing a parallel version of herself, not an earlier version of herself. Afterwards, Nebula survives the fight against her father and presumably will play some role in the Guardians' future adventures. Okoye, Denai Gurira, took responsibility for the safety of Wakanda in the 5 years while T'Challa was gone. She will likely have a major role to play in Black Panther 2. Ant-Man/Scott Lang, we see Ant-Man reunited with the Wasp and his daughter Cassie, now 5 years older, at the end of the film. Ant-Man and the Wasp will probably continue to fight crime in a third film based on their story. Hawkeye/Clint Barton, Hawkeye is back in action sort of. Clint had gone into retirement during Avengers: Infinity War but became a vigilante warrior after his entire family disappeared during the Snap tour. Now that his family is back, he'll probably return to a relatively peaceful life with them, though he'll briefly star in a Disney and television series in which he trains a new Hawkeye and passes on the name to an aspiring hero. Captain Marvel/Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, returns from space to fight against Thanos and easily destroys his ship. We see her at Tony Stark's funeral with her old pal, Nick Fury, standing behind her. Likely, he'll try to convince her to stay there. The movie never explains how Carol Danvers has seemingly not aged between the 1990s and 2018. Pepper Potts, Gwyneth Paltrow, sits with Tony as he dies. After the funeral, she's left to raise their daughter alone. She does have an Iron Man suit though if she wants to use it. Valkyrie, Thor passes the Asgardian crown to Valkyrie. It's possible that if another major threat hits Earth, she would take up Thor's old mantle to protect her people. Benedict Wong, and Doctor Strange reunite during the battle against Thanos. They likely return to the Sanctum Sanctorum. Happy Hogan, Jon Favreau, will probably play a mentorship role to Tony Stark and Pepper Potts' daughter. He promises her all the cheeseburgers during the funeral. He also will appear in Spider-Man: Far From Home, probably as Spider-Man's liaison to the rest of the superhero world. Ned, Peter Parker spots his best friend Ned, Jacob Batalon, during his first day back at school. Since it looks as if Ned has not aged, he probably was caught up in the Snap Tour too, and now has returned. Here's who disappeared in Avengers Endgame. Thanos and all his henchmen. Iron Man turns the tables on Thanos. When Tony snaps his fingers, he uses the Infinity Stones to wish Thanos and his minions out of existence. Here's who's still unaccounted for after Avengers Endgame. 2014 Gamora, the Gamora who traveled with Thanos from 2014 to 2023, helps defeat her father. When Tony snaps his fingers at the end of that battle, Thanos and all his henchmen disappear. Since Gamora fought alongside the good guys, she presumably survived. But it's unclear where she is at the end of the film. Star-Lord tries to look for her on his ship's navigation system, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will probably follow his quest to find her. The Collector, it's unclear what happened to the Collector, Benicio del Toro, who possessed the Reality Stone back in Avengers Infinity War. Thanos took the stone from him, but we don't know if Thanos killed the Collector or left him alive. He still may play a role in future Guardians movies. Write to Eliana Docterman at eliana.docterman@time.com. Source: http://time.com/5577454/Avengers-Endgame-deaths.
That was very interesting, right? Well, now you know where I got that source from, information. Then. But there's something else too I want to explain better. I want someone else to explain better, the ending. So I'm gonna let Rebecca from Watch Mojo explain the ending better. And no spoiler. Alrighty, take it away, Rebecca.
Avengers Endgame delivered everything, and we mean everything. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be explaining the ending of Avengers Endgame. Think you know the Avengers? Click below to sign in with your Google or Facebook account and take the new trivia quiz on WatchMojo.com for your chance to win a prize from Culturefly. If ever there were a need for a spoiler alert, this is it. As the 22nd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Avengers Endgame is a cinematic event that's had years of build-up, juggling dozens of characters along the way. So, as you can imagine, this film had more than a few cliffhangers to resolve, but virtually all the major storylines are given closure by the time the credits roll.
Spare his life, and I will give you the stone.
In Infinity War, Doctor Strange convinced Thanos to spare Tony Stark's life by giving up the Time Stone. Before disintegrating out of existence with the rest of the universe's snapped victims, Strange alludes to the fact that this was the only scenario in which they could defeat Thanos.
Tony, there was no other way.
Strange knew that Tony would be the key to cracking time travel, allowing the remaining Avengers to gather the Infinity Stones before Thanos and reverse the snap. This isn't the only essential role Tony plays in restoring order to the universe, as the epic final battle boils down to a rematch between him and Thanos. While Thanos' victory appears inevitable, the Mad Titan is thwarted at the hands of a mere mortal.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
With all 6 stones equipped in his Iron Man gauntlet, Tony snaps Thanos and his army out of existence while repeating his most iconic line from the first film in the MCU.
I am Iron Man.
This is arguably the most triumphant moment in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, although it's immediately followed by one of the most tragic. The Infinity Stones take a significant toll on whomever uses them, leaving the Incredible Hulk in an arm brace, and Thanos on his last legs. Being a human who's already survived one too many brushes with death, Tony is completely drained after snapping his fingers. Surrounded by Pepper, Peter, and his other loved ones, Iron Man takes his dying breath.
I hope they remember you.
When Tony built his Mark II reactor, Pepper framed his old one with a message that reads, "Proof Tony Stark has a heart." What was once a humorous joke will now forever be associated with Tony's funeral, where the original reactor is set adrift. In addition to his daughter Morgan, almost every hero who fought beside Tony is present at this tear-jerking memorial. There are several notable omissions, though, showing that Tony wasn't the only one who paid the ultimate price to defeat Thanos. In order to retrieve the Soul Stone, Natasha Romanoff sacrificed herself at Vormir. As Bruce Banner explained, he tried to bring Natasha back with the snapped victims, but not even the stones could undo her death. This also means there will be no resurrections for Gamora, who Thanos sacrificed to snatch the Soul Stone in Infinity War. That being said, the 2014 version of Gamora traveled to present day during the climax of Endgame, skipping over both Guardians of the Galaxy movies. This Gamora thus has no recollection of Peter Quill or her other teammates. While it's unclear what exactly happened to this Gamora after Thanos' downfall, we wouldn't be surprised if
That happens when you clean your room. Found all these pillowcases. Remember, I was always having trouble finding them.
Thank you.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, that's funny, huh?
Yeah, and you just said that in the video.
Oh. Can you go backward?
No. Is that embarrassing?
Well, can't you go backwards?
I don't know if I
You
can.
don't want it to be in there, do you? I'm sorry. You should have told me you were doing that.
I thought I did.
Well, I thought you were done, Jeff.
I would have told you if I was. Sorry, my mom. Anyway, let's go back a few.
While it's unclear what exactly happened to this Gamora after Thanos' downfall, we wouldn't be surprised if she resurfaces in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Gamora was one of 3 major characters who died before Thanos snapped his fingers, the other 2 being Vision and Loki. Although neither of them was brought back from the dead in Endgame, keep in mind that 2 of the shows that have been major characters who died before Thanos snapped his fingers, the other 2 being Vision and Loki. Although neither of them was brought back from the dead in Endgame, keep in mind that 2 of the shows that have been confirmed for the Disney Plus streaming service are WandaVision and Loki. During the Avengers visit back to 2012, an incarcerated Loki retrieves the Tesseract and uses it to escape. This might have left the door open for the God of Mischief to live another day, even if it's not a full-on resurrection.
No resurrections this time.
Outside of these loose ends, Endgame leaves no stone unturned. Clint is reunited with his family, Peter is gearing up for a European-class trip, T'Challa has reclaimed his place as King of Wakanda, Scott and Hope have some catching up to do with a grown-up Cassie, Valkyrie takes over as the ruler of New Asgard, and Thor is hitching a ride with the Guardians.
Who the hell are you guys?
To keep the MCU's continuity intact, though, Steve Rogers needs to make another trip back in time to return all the Infinity Stones they took during the time heist. Banner attempts to transport Cap back to the future, but things don't go according to plan. Suddenly, Sam Wilson spots a lone man sitting by the lake. It's an elderly Steve Rogers, who decided to remain in the past and see what he missed out on all those years he was frozen. It's a bittersweet moment for Wilson, who can't imagine a world without Captain America. If you've read the comics, however, you know that both Wilson and Bucky had taken up the mantle of Captain America, but Steve chooses Sam as his replacement. This comes to fruition as Rogers hands his shield to Wilson, who accepts with some encouragement from Bucky. Did we mention that Disney Plus also has a Falcon and Winter Soldier series in the works?
You couldn't have done that earlier. I hate you.
While Steve doesn't go into great detail, we are given a glimpse of the quiet, simple life he's had. In a suburban household, Steve shares an overdue dance with Peggy Carter. It might have taken a lifetime, but Cap finally met Agent Carter for their date.
You gonna be okay? Yeah, I had a date.
Considering that Captain America will always be the first Avenger, it's only fitting that this crucial chapter in the MCU closes out on his happily ever after.
Are you ready for our dance?
Both Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans have hinted that Avengers Endgame might mark their retirement from the MCU. With Tony Stark dead and Steve Rogers in his twilight years, it's safe to say that we won't be seeing much of either actor going into Phase 4 and beyond. If that is indeed the case, Endgame couldn't have provided them with a more rousing, touching, and poetic final curtain. Whatever the future holds for the MCU, one thing is for certain: Endgame will be remembered for generations to come.
This is gonna work, Steve.
I know it is. Because I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from Watch Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
Thank you, Rebecca. Now is there? So overall, the movie it was a good movie. I think personally, I'll give the movie a rating of somewhere between 7.5 and 10. But like I said before, there's some questions left unanswered. Like I said before, what became of both U.S. Secretary of State, Thaddeus E. Thunderbolt Ross, and the Sokovian Accords. If you know, then leave it down if you think you have a theory about that, then leave it down in the comments below. But there's always some. I'm feeling curious. I know Stan Lee's gone, but I wonder what he's thinking right now about this movie in the afterlife. Hold on. Before I close this before I close this video, let's all have a moment of silence for him. Anyway, question of the day. And for those who watched, what'd you think of the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you think it could have been done better? For me, there's one part I wish I could have at least done. Before Thanos faded and disappeared, they could have helped him see the light, you know. Explain to him what he was doing was wrong, and not the right way to go about fixing the problem, if you know what I mean. That way, when Thanos disappeared out of existence, he could have been at peace. Learn from Spielberg. I'm trying to be a filmmaker myself. Learn from whether they're heroes, villains, or just average villains. You should try to always make them as human as possible, if that's correct. That's my take on it, anyway. Gonna make just a little bit better. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and help the. And if you can, and I know this video is almost an hour and 10 minutes long, but I really appreciate if you stayed the whole time and watched it. Did I get you? If you stayed the whole time and watched it, I really appreciate you staying. Help this video reach 1,000 subscribers, and I mean, it's help this channel reach 1,000 subscribers, and help this video reach more than 100 views. You can do that by sharing this video with their friends, family, complete strangers, whoever, everyone. If you do that, I really appreciate it. But until then, I'm gonna close this video with a song. I'm gonna close this video with a song. If I even have time, right? I'm just on what, minute and 30 seconds left. Actually, on second thought, no, I don't. Actually, on second thought, I don't want to do that. We're gonna close out at 1 hour and 10 minutes, 0.0 seconds on the dot. We got 1 minute left, so. And again, I really appreciate you. Appreciate what you do. Appreciate you. For those who stayed, I really appreciate. Who continue watching this, I really appreciate it. Thank you. May God be with Tony Stark. And may Steve Rogers find, happiness. All right, we're closing out with this. Avengers, assemble! Till then, remember, Avengers, assemble! Bye.